Greetings, this is your Sussex Ambassador channel, a platform committed to delivering balanced discussions on the life and work of Meghan, Duchess of Sussex. Here we delve into the complexities and triumphs of her journey, shedding light on the aspects often overlooked. Our commitment is to provide you with information that is fair, insightful, and respectful. We value your support, so if you haven't done so, kindly hit that subscribe button. Today, we're focusing on a peculiar shift in attitude from Jeremy Clarkson towards Meghan, Duchess of Sussex. This shift is not merely a change of heart or a sudden realization. Quite the contrary, it's a transformation that's as baffling as it is disconcerting. Around 4 years ago, in the chilly month of December in 2018, Jeremy Clarkson, a man known for his strong and often controversial opinions, penned a column in defense of Meghan. He empathized with the Duchess, highlighting the relentless and heartless media attacks she was facing. He even predicted that it won't be long before she is unfairly pilloried. Fast forward to the present day, and we see a remarkably different stance. Clarkson is now one of the loudest voices calling for the very pillorying he once stood against. It's a complete 180, a stark contrast from the sympathy he expressed just a handful of years ago. This leaves us wondering what happened. What caused this dramatic shift in Clarkson's attitude? Could it be a genuine change of heart, or is there something else at play? According to Omid Scobie, a well-respected journalist and royal commentator, the answer may lie in something as age-old as greed. Scobie suggests that Clarkson's newfound disdain for Meghan is fueled not by personal conviction, but by the allure of money. Scobie puts it rather succinctly in a post on his X account, formerly known as Twitter. He writes, "Hate can do some crazy things to you." He suggests that Clarkson's attacks on Meghan are not driven by any personal vendetta, but by a desire for financial gain. A drastic shift, don't you think? But what could be the driving factor behind this? Omid Scobie, a well-respected royal correspondent, suggests that this sudden shift is driven by greed. It's a heavy accusation, isn't it? But let's delve into it. You see, our society is driven by money, and it's no secret that sensationalism sells. So, is it possible that Jeremy Clarkson, a public figure, would allow his opinion to be swayed by the potential for financial gain? According to Omid Scobie, that's precisely what happened. Scobie, through his well-known social media account, made this very point. He suggested that Clarkson's change in attitude from defending Meghan Markle against media attacks in December of 2018 to becoming one of her harshest critics 4 years later was a clear indication of greed. Now, it's easy to dismiss this claim as mere speculation or as an emotional response. But when you consider the power of financial incentives, especially in a world where controversy sells, it begins to make sense. Moreover, the media landscape is a competitive one. Standing out requires making noise. And what better way to do that than by taking a controversial stance? It's a strategy that's as old as time, and one that many have employed to varying degrees of success. But when the shift is as drastic as it was in Clarkson's case, one can't help but question the motivations behind it. So is money the root of this sudden hatred? It's a question that's well worth asking, and one that Omid Scobie has already answered in the affirmative. Whether you agree with him or not, the fact remains that the influence of money on our opinions and actions is a reality we can't ignore. So is money the root of this sudden hatred? Seems like a valid question. But what impact do these unfounded attacks have on Meghan and the public perception of her? Let's take a moment to consider the potential damage. Clarkson's unfounded criticisms are not just harsh words thrown into the wind. They ripple across the public sphere, shaping opinions and fostering a culture of prejudice and misinformation. They taint Meghan's image, casting a shadow of doubt over her intentions and actions. The power of these attacks lies in the platform they are given. Clarkson, a public figure with a significant following, wields a hefty influence. His words reach millions, and for some, his voice carries weight. His criticisms of Meghan, while baseless, could easily sway public opinion, leading to a skewed perception of her character. This is not simply about one individual's bias. This is about the perpetuation of misinformation that can, and does, have real-world consequences. It fuels a narrative of vilification that Meghan, like many others in the public eye, must constantly battle against. It's a narrative that often overshadows her work, her initiatives, and her efforts to effect positive change. Furthermore, These attacks contribute to a broader culture of bias. They normalize the act of tearing down individuals based on unfounded claims or personal prejudices. This culture not only affects Meghan, but also sets a dangerous precedent for how we treat and talk about public figures. It erodes the foundation of fair critique and fosters an environment where character assassination becomes the norm. In essence, Clarkson's attacks do more than just harm Meghan. They contribute to a damaging cycle of misinformation and bias that affects us all. They distort our understanding of the world, they skew our perspectives, and they cloud our judgment. These attacks are not just harmful, they're also misleading to the public. They not only tarnish Meghan's reputation, but also distort the truth, leading us down a path of prejudice and misinformation. And in the end, it is not just Meghan who suffers. We all do. It's crucial that we stand up against these unfounded attacks, and that's exactly what we're doing here at the Sussex Ambassador channel. As we traverse the vast landscape of media, it's essential that we exercise discernment. It's not just about absorbing information, but about critically evaluating it. And when it comes to Meghan, we must be especially vigilant. We must question the motives behind the narrative, the reasons for the shift in tone, the sudden change of heart. Is it driven by a genuine concern, or is it merely a ploy to boost ratings and fill pockets? We must stand up against bias. Bias that is rooted in greed, bias that paints a distorted image, bias that fuels hatred. It's not about taking sides, it's about standing up for what's right, standing up for fairness. And when it comes to Meghan, fairness seems to have been thrown out of the window. But we can change that. We can challenge the narrative. We can question the motives. We can demand fairness. We don't have to be passive consumers of information. We can be active participants in the conversation. We can use our voices to call out unfair treatment and demand accountability. We can stand up against unfounded attacks, attacks that have no basis in reality, attacks that are driven by greed, attacks that aim to tarnish a reputation. We don't have to accept this as the norm. We can challenge it. We can fight against it. And in doing so, we stand with Meghan. We stand with her against these unfair attacks. We stand with her in her fight for fairness. We stand with her in her quest for justice. It's not just about supporting Meghan, it's about standing up against a system that allows such attacks to flourish. So let's do just that. Let's continue to critically evaluate the information we consume. Let's continue to call out bias and unfair treatment. Let's continue to demand accountability. And most importantly, let's continue to support Meghan and stand up against unfounded attacks. We've had a robust discussion today, and we hope it's made you think. We've delved into the stark shift in Jeremy Clarkson's attitude towards Meghan. From a defender of her against heartless media attacks back in December 2018, he's now ironically become one of her most aggressive critics. It's a transformation that's not only surprising, but also deeply troubling. We've also explored the theory that this change in stance is driven by nothing more than greed. The lure of financial gain can indeed lead people to abandon their principles and engage in behavior they once condemned. It's something to ponder upon. The impact of Clarkson's attacks cannot be understated. They contribute to a hostile environment that serves no one's interest. Yet in the face of these unfair attacks, there's a beacon of hope. Omid Scobie, through his social media posts, has bravely called out Clarkson's inconsistency and baseless criticism. As we conclude, we urge you to consider these points and form your own opinions. Remember, it's easy to join a hate bandwagon, but it takes courage and wisdom to question, to understand, and to stand up for what's right. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Until next time, this is your Sussex Ambassador signing off.